We begin in the United States, where President Joe Biden spoke with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. The two leaders held their first phone conversation since they met in November of last year at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in California. The call lasted for almost 2 hours and was aimed at diffusing tensions between the world's two largest economies. According to U.S. officials, President Biden and President Xi held a candid and constructive discussion on various issues.
Over the course of about an hour and 45 minutes, the two leaders held a candid and constructive discussion on a range of bilateral, regional, and global issues, including areas of cooperation and areas of differences.
Now, Washington says both leaders were open about the existing disagreements in their discussion, including Taiwan, which is one of the most crucial points of contention between the United States and China. President Biden urged China to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait ahead of the inauguration of Taiwan's president-elect Ching-te in May. According to Chinese state media, President Xi responded by saying Taiwan remains an uncrossable red line for Beijing. China has criticized the newly elected Taiwanese president as a longtime supporter of a separate identity for the island. And China considers Taiwan a part of its territory and has said on several occasions that it would not back down from using force to defend itself if necessary. Now, Biden has also raised concerns over growing Chinese aggression in the South China Sea, where tensions have been rising between China and the Philippines. In fact, there have been several confrontations between the two countries in recent months in the disputed waters. And just last week, the Chinese Coast Guard fired water cannons at the Philippine supply vessel.
President Biden also emphasized the importance of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, and he reaffirmed the importance of the rule of law and freedom of navigation in the South China Sea.
Now, the two presidents also spoke about the Biden administration's ban on high-tech exports to China, and President Xi accused Washington of creating economic risk through its ban and accused the United States of trying to suppress China's tech development. The Chinese president said that the U.S. ban is depriving Beijing of its legitimate right to development. He also reportedly warned that China will not sit idly by over these bans. However, President Biden defended the move, saying he will continue to take necessary actions to prevent advanced technologies from being used to undermine America's national security. The two leaders also discussed the Chinese-owned social media app TikTok, and President Biden backed congressional efforts to ban the app unless it changed the owners, insisting on the need to protect the data of Americans. President Biden and President Xi also discussed the Russia-Ukraine war, where the U.S. president expressed concern over China helping Russia rebuild its defense industrial base. Now, while there were many contentious issues, the two leaders did manage to find common ground around key integral issues, such as increasing cooperation on climate change and artificial intelligence.
They encouraged continued progress on issues discussed at the Woodside Summit, including counter-narcotics cooperation, ongoing military-to-military communications, talks to address artificial intelligence-related risks, and continuing efforts on climate change and people-to-people exchanges.
Now, the phone call between the two leaders follows weeks of diplomatic efforts to calm tensions between the two countries and comes ahead of U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's visit to China this week. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will also be heading to Beijing very soon.
We believe that there is no substitute for regular communication at the leader level to effectively manage this complex and often tense bilateral relationship. And both presidents agreed to pick up the phone and speak when needed.
Meanwhile, the United States said that the talks were aimed at resolving the differences between the two countries, but it remains to be seen whether this call will translate into a thaw in relations between the two global powers. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on First Post America.